Hey, I'm Grant, and welcome to Stay the Channel for July 2nd. So, main update, I had the podcast come out. I spent some time for the next one, 22, working on some simple ideas to improve it, to give it more of a start. I guess I got some feedback, so I'm acting on that. Things I want to do that shouldn't add a ton of lead time, but I think will help the podcast get started. I think that's something that one of the big issues it has. It's not very attention grabbing. It's very just a slow start and then it snowballs. So by the end, we have the energy, we have the fun conversations, but that doesn't necessarily land. So I'm going to do some simple stuff like start off with a little bit more of a theme, like this is what we're doing for this one, and go. I'm going to move stuff like the gaming to the end of the podcast because I know that's something that's pretty specific. Where like I still want to talk about it because I feel like that's easy to like bring someone on and talk about like, oh, what you're doing, what you're playing, what you're reading, what you're watching, that kind of thing. But I recognize, obviously, like it's more polarizing, or just like divides the topics a little bit too much for the audience. So, gonna try that. Gonna try a couple other things. I might, if I feel super energetic, I might try to do something like graphics. I know way back when we started, I really loved the idea of having like little videos after, like really short. Like here's a 30-second clip, or just having some kind of outro, and then I would put that in the end cards. And I can still do that. That's fine. But it does take extra work, and I'm not necessarily against that if it's a good idea, so we'll see. I wouldn't mind doing something. I think what I will probably start doing at least is doing the end cards again. So like all the other videos besides the Stay the Channel, because I don't do it for this, having just a little thing where it goes picture in picture a little bit, and you see the outro and there's the end cards, and just doing that. It hasn't been a big concern, but I think I might as well just be consistent across all my videos to do that. I think that'd be a good start. Because the reason I kind of fell out and all that stopped was because I changed how I edit. I used to do all manual cuts for the podcast, which on one hand took way longer than what I do now. But it also let me do a bunch of extra stuff because since I was in there doing stuff manually anyway, like I used to have to cut out, like say if I want to see just my camera talking, I had to cut out everyone else's because they were all like stacked. Well, if I'm doing that anyway, it was pretty easy then to just cut to only my dialogue, which also reduced stuff like echo. Now I have multi-cam editing, which is basically I load up all the videos at once and I just play them and I can pick the angle and viewpoint I want to be shown at any big point. And then I take a second pass where I just where do the actual cuts happen, or maybe I decide, yeah, I really want that other one. Super convenient, saves me so much time. But then to go back and do stuff like graphics, cut out the audio, it adds another pass, at least. So basically, it probably means it adds another an hour and a half of work. So I need to find ways to incorporate those things where it isn't difficult and doesn't make a ton of extra work for me. And a lot of that is just like getting better with the tools or just developing presets. That's a big thing where the reason I was able to start doing the outro thing with so many of my videos, where it goes, like I said, smaller and then I can put up end cards, was because yeah, that takes a while to do it the first time, but once I realized, yes, I like this, it suits my needs, I can put this on everything, it's very flexible, well then it was easy to save all those presets, so it's just a button. I think I can do that with like 2 clicks, maybe 3, where it's like, apply the effect to this track, I put the image over it, and then the blend, and then that's it. So if I can do stuff like that with a podcast where, okay, now I know I want these graphics and these settings, then I can streamline that. I want to spend a little bit of time, probably won't happen this week, I'm looking into doing some automation to improve my workflow. Like a big thing is I do a lot of the same conversions. I try to put every single thing I shoot through the same conversions because basically everything's coming from either my phone camera or the Canons. And I'd like to streamline that. I still feel like I do a lot of manual steps and I don't think I need to. So what I'd like to do is I think I'm going to set up, and this is personal to my PC, is I just want to set up incoming and outgoing stuff for like folders. So basically I just want to set up some kind of listener so when I dump a file in here, it will automatically kick off Handbrake, do a conversion, dump it in another folder, and that folder hopefully can then also listen for my second conversion program to dump it into a third folder. That way I'm hoping I have to spend less and less time messing with that stuff, and then it just becomes filing for me. Like, okay, name, is this file good? Yep, name it, dump it in the bin. Do that for all 3 for the podcast. Come in the morning, it's already done. Because then that's one of the things I try to get going as soon as I can, but sometimes I don't quite get to it, and then you're stuck waiting. Plus, then I can take advantage of some things that I don't normally like to do. Like, it is faster to export or work on 2 separate hard drives. So if I am reading from one drive, I should write to the other. So I should have a source file on a hard drive, I guess what it is, D for me, and it should spit it out to E, not straight to D again, because otherwise it slows down. It's actually apparently a big thing. That's a real big pain to do when you're doing it all manually. But if I can just set it up once, well, then maybe I can take advantage. So hopefully that means less time in the programs, and I can cut down my editing times, converting times, and export times. I can do that too. I'm looking at just some improvements there. Although I'll admit, like, that's one of the nice things about being, I guess, like an amateur at this, is technically loading screens and progress bars and all that aren't actually a big deal for me, because a lot of times, like, oh, if this is going to take 24 hours to convert, which that's what the podcast used to take, like 24 hours. Like, back when we did the D&D stuff, like, 1 day's worth of filming would take a full 12 hours to convert. But at the same time, that doesn't matter, because we'd film it and get done at like 8. I would just set it up and go to bed, and then I'd go to work the next morning, and by the time I get back, it's like, got 2 hours left. Okay, go do some chores, and by the time I'm ready to sit down and edit, it's done. So it really doesn't matter. And I still like to cut it down, because it is annoying if I encounter some problem and like, oh, I need to reconvert it, that I don't have to wait that extra time. So that'd be one thing I'd like to do. Also worked a little bit more on my website. It's coming slowly. It's very hard to dedicate time to it sometimes, where my week fills up. Like, there's the 4th of July this week where I'm going out to do a thing on Tuesday, and then it'll be like Monday is usually my good work day for this stuff. If it's a podcast week, usually basically it's 1 week's the podcast work week, 1 week's the website work week. So I didn't get as much done as I wanted because I do the podcast. But hopefully if I can shorten that stuff, it should be good. I'm going to spend some time today, hopefully I want to look around Omaha to find some other people that do similar stuff to what I do, or maybe would be interested in doing something more of like a live action. So I can learn, but also too, I just want to, explore some more stuff like that, like live action. Because I don't consider this to be really a gaming channel. I want it to be more, and I want to do more than just this YouTube channel. But I need to find, I think, other peers so I can do more and learn more. I think that's just the best way to take that approach. Because I don't know what it would be, but I still need to find some kind of show that drives the channel. Right now, I guess the closest thing I have to that is Digression Bar and Stay of the Channel. And I guess the OSRS stuff. But none of those really are what I have in mind. I would love to create some kind of single narrative series that maybe lasts exactly 5 episodes or something. Or even just one. Like, this is a 10-minute video. I spent 2 months working on it. Here's like a staple of the channel. Something like that is what I would really like to make. But right now I have no idea what that is. And being just one person extremely limits my options. Even if I could find just one other person who's local that I can work with, that I really mesh well with, that would significantly open up what I could do. So I think I'm just going to kind of feel out. And maybe do some other fun stuff I'm looking into. So we'll see. That's what my week hopefully going to be like. It's probably going to be interesting because it's the off week for the podcast. And then I also have holiday and just lots of things. I am curious. I want to get started on the podcast soon. It is nice when that gets done ahead of time. I was hoping to film an extra one with Ellie and it didn't happen, but I always say I'm going to get ahead. I never do. But as always, you can contact me over on Twitter. It's at taking4grantd, or my email, which is grant@taking4grantd.com. And I'll be back again next week. Also, I need to make a new channel trailer. I'll try and do that. I really need to do that pretty badly.